The dinner party was my idea. 12 guests, a 4-course meal, the good china that my grandmother had left me. I spent 3 days preparing, shopping, chopping, marinating, arranging flowers on the table. It was our first social event since the miscarriage, and I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted our friends to see us happy, to see that we were healing, to see that our marriage had survived the worst thing that had ever happened to us. I didn't know that the worst thing was still coming. I didn't know that the dinner party would be the stage where my husband would finally reveal who he really was. My name is Wilhelmina Cross, but everyone calls me Mina. Julian and I had been married for 9 years. We met in graduate school, bonded over shared deadlines and cheap coffee, and built a life that looked beautiful from the outside. He was a professor of literature, respected and admired. I was an editor at a small publishing house, working from home so I could raise our daughter, Daisy. She was 4 years old, with curly red hair and a laugh that could fill a room. We were trying for a second child when I lost the pregnancy at 14 weeks. The grief was a physical weight, pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. Julian held me while I cried. He said we would try again. He said we would get through it together. He lied. The dinner party was on a Saturday. The guests arrived at 7. Our neighbors, a few colleagues from Julian's department, my best friend from college. Everyone brought wine and smiles and stories about their own lives. I moved through the rooms, serving appetizers, refilling glasses, keeping the conversation flowing. Julian was charming, as always, telling jokes, making everyone feel welcome. If anyone noticed the distance between us, they didn't say. The moment came during dessert. I was in the kitchen, plating the chocolate tart when I heard my phone buzz. It was on the counter, screen lit up with a message. I glanced at it, expecting a reminder or a notification. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize. I miss you. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. She'll never know. I stared at the words, my mind refusing to process them. I looked toward the dining room, where Julian was laughing at someone's joke. I looked back at the phone. The message had been sent to him. It had appeared on the kitchen counter because our devices were synced, and I had never thought to change the settings. I picked up the phone. I scrolled through the messages. There were hundreds, stretching back over a year. A woman named Celeste, a graduate student in his department. She called him professor in a way that made my stomach turn. They had been meeting in hotels, in his office, in her apartment. He had told her our marriage was over, that we were only staying together for Daisy, that I was unstable after the miscarriage. He had told her he loved her. I put the phone down. I finished plating the tart. I carried it to the table and served it to our guests with a smile that felt like it might crack my face. Julian reached for my hand. I let him hold it. His fingers were warm. His eyes were kind. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the tart at his face. Instead, I sat down and ate my dessert in silence. The guests left around 11. I kissed them goodbye, thanked them for coming, promised to do it again soon. Julian went upstairs to check on Daisy. I cleared the table, washed the dishes, put away the leftovers. When I came to bed, he was already asleep. I lay beside him, staring at the ceiling, and I made a plan. I didn't confront him. I didn't cry. I became someone else. Someone who watched. Someone who waited. Someone who gathered evidence. For the next 3 months, I documented everything. The late nights at the office, the trips he claimed were conferences, the credit card bills with charges for hotels and restaurants I had never seen. I saved text messages, emails, voicemails. I hired a private investigator to follow him, to photograph him with Celeste, to confirm what I already knew. The investigator was a woman named Elena, retired from the police force, with gray hair and sharp eyes. She worked quickly, discreetly, and within a month, she had given me a file thick with evidence. Photos of Julian and Celeste entering hotels. Records of his lies. Proof that he had been using our joint account to fund his affair. I added everything to the folder I kept in a safe deposit box at a bank he didn't know about. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. Julian said he was grading papers, but I knew he was with her. I packed a bag for Daisy and myself, loaded the car, and drove to my sister's house. She was expecting me. I had told her everything. She hugged me for a long time, then made tea while Daisy played with her cousins. The next morning, I filed for divorce. The papers were served to Julian at his office. He called me immediately, his voice shaking with a mixture of shock and anger. "Mina, what is this? We can talk about this. Whatever you think is happening." "I don't think anything, Julian," I said. "I know. I have photos. I have messages. I have hotel receipts. I have everything I need to destroy your career and your reputation. You can sign or you can fight. Your choice." He signed. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. I kept the house, the car, full custody of Daisy. He kept his guilt and a small apartment across town. His department was notified of the affair. He was asked to take a leave of absence. He never returned to teaching. I don't know what happened to Celeste. I don't care. She knew he was married. She knew about Daisy. She made her choices. I made mine. The dinner party was a year ago. Tonight, I am hosting another one. The same china, the same flowers, the same chocolate tart. Different guests. Different laughter. No Julian. Daisy is 5 now, starting kindergarten next week. She asked me the other day why Daddy doesn't live with us anymore. I told her that sometimes people grow apart, even when they love each other. It wasn't the whole truth, but it was enough for now. The dinner party was my idea. The end of my marriage was his. But the beginning of my new life? That is mine. The year after the divorce was a season of firsts. The first time Daisy asked why she couldn't see Daddy every day. The first time I slept in the middle of the bed, starfished and unapologetic. The first time I went to a parent-teacher conference alone, signing my name as Ms. Cross instead of Mrs. The first time I laughed without feeling guilty. It was hard. It was lonely. It was necessary. I learned things about myself I hadn't known, that I could fix a leaky faucet, that I could comfort a crying child without falling apart, that I could sit in an empty house and feel peaceful instead of panicked. I stayed in the house. It was ours once, but now it was mine. I painted the bedroom a color Julian would have hated, a soft, warm coral that made me smile every morning. I turned his office into a playroom for Daisy, filling it with toys and art supplies and the kind of chaos he never tolerated. I kept the dining room the same, though. The table where I had served that dinner party, where I had read the text message, where I had decided not to scream. I needed that reminder. Not of him. Of me. Of the woman who had held herself together when everything was falling apart. Daisy adjusted faster than I did. Children are resilient that way. She accepted the new normal with a flexibility I envied. She loved her room at Daddy's apartment, loved the ice cream he let her eat for breakfast, loved the way he spoiled her on weekends. I didn't interfere. I didn't badmouth him. I just stayed steady, reliable, present. She needed that. I needed that too. The first time Julian came to pick her up, I saw him differently. He was thinner, grayer, less handsome than I remembered. His charm had faded, or maybe I had just stopped being fooled by it. He tried to make small talk, asked how I was doing, suggested we get coffee sometime. I looked at him, this man who had lied to me for over a year, who had betrayed me while I was grieving our lost baby, and I felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Not love. Just a vast, empty space where he used to live. "We're not friends, Julian," I said. "We're co-parents. That's all." He didn't argue. He took Daisy's hand and walked to his car. I watched them go, then closed the door and went back to my quiet house. I threw myself into work. My editing career had stalled during the marriage. Julian's needs had always come first. Now I had time. I took on new clients, bigger projects, longer hours. I worked late into the night, after Daisy was asleep, rebuilding the career I had set aside for him. Within a year, I was promoted to senior editor. Within 2, I was managing my own imprint. The money wasn't just survival, it was independence. It was proof that I didn't need him. The second year brought something unexpected, a letter from Celeste. Not an apology, she didn't apologize. Just a letter, explaining her side. She was young, she wrote, and he was charming. He told her our marriage was over. He told her I knew about them. He told her so many lies, and she wanted to believe him because she was lonely and he made her feel special. She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She just wanted me to know that she was sorry. Not sorry enough to stop, but sorry enough to write. I read the letter once, then put it in a drawer. I didn't write back. I didn't need to. Her guilt was her burden, not mine. The 3rd year, I started dating. Not seriously at first, just coffee, dinner, a concert here and there. I was careful, guarded, slow to trust. Most of the men were kind, but none of them made my heart race. I wondered if my heart would ever race again. I wondered if Julian had broken something irreparable. Then I met Marcus. He was a widower, raising 2 teenagers on his own. He understood loss. He understood the weight of rebuilding. He didn't push. He didn't rush. He just showed up, again and again, proving that he was exactly who he said he was. We dated for a year before I introduced him to Daisy. Another year before he proposed. I said yes. We married in the backyard, under the oak tree where Daisy used to play. The same china from my grandmother. The same flowers. A different man. A different life. Today, Daisy is 8. She calls Marcus Dad sometimes, though she still visits Julian on weekends. She is happy, healthy, and fiercely independent. She has her mother's stubbornness and her father's charm. I hope she uses them wisely. Julian still lives in his apartment. His health is failing. His money is tight. His charm is gone. He calls Daisy every night, but the conversations are shorter now. She is growing up. She is seeing him clearly. I think about the dinner party sometimes. The chocolate tart. The text message. The moment I decided not to scream. That was the moment I became someone new. Someone who doesn't need a man to feel whole. Someone who can host a dinner party without pretending. Short positive sentence. The dinner party was the end of my marriage and the beginning of me. Have you ever had a moment when you realized everything was about to change? How did you find the courage to keep going? Share your story in the comments. Subscribe to Backlash Tales for more stories of survival, justice, and the quiet power of choosing yourself.